Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. Thanks for joining us on the show. Had a fantastic weekend. Mason walks in wearing a Frog and Toad shirt, which is crazy because my daughter was in a play over the weekend, Frog and Toad.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and she played Frog.
Dude, that's dope.
That's so random.
I didn't plan this, I promise.
So random. And then we went to Monster Trucks over the weekend. We had a great family weekend, which is awesome because now we're getting back into work and the world is falling apart.
Yeah, it's like we thought the weekend was okay, and now we're oh no.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Recession fears as stock tumbles. I was right before I was going to bed last night. I was looking and reading about Japan, and I was like, "That's not good. That's not good." And this morning, stocks plunged as U.S. recession fears caused turmoil throughout global markets. Who's in office right now? Oh, that's right. It's Biden-Harris. Biden-Harris. The Biden-Harris collapse. Does anybody think that a Kamala Harris presidency would be able to fix what we have going wrong in this country right now? Anyone?
I currently get that.
Anybody? I don't think that could happen. I don't think she's built to fix this. And the stocks, we've lost over 1.9 trillion in value has been wiped from the U.S. stock market so far today.
Don't say that. We have never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. Down 6% right from the get-go. This is heavy big tech. Here we go. Look at them go down. Microsoft is down $20. That's 5%. Alphabet, 5%. Meta, 6%. Amazon, 6%. Apple, 9% down. Let's pull out Apple.
Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the stock market. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in this arena. But I will tell you, I'm glad it's happening right now. I know it might be harsh to say, but in the grand scheme of things, with the presidential election coming up, this helps Donald J. Trump. It does. It does. Because, as CBS put it over the weekend, Donald Trump still has a lead in the biggest issues when it comes to polling, and the biggest issues are the border and, you guessed it, the economy.
That's really important because some things in this race have not changed. The idea that you would be better off financially if Trump were elected, Trump still has a big advantage over now Kamala Harris.
Do you think the edge has grown, or do you think it's shrunk since they aired that on Sunday on CBS? I think it's grown, especially in the economy.
On that. And the idea that his policies would slow or decrease the number of migrants trying to cross the border, that he still has an edge on.
Yeah, I mean, the big issues haven't changed. The big issues haven't changed. And with this recession that could be coming, I think it only helps Donald Trump. So you have a lot of factors that are going to help Donald Trump. We also have the cultural factors that are lining up behind Donald Trump. You have Elon Musk on an interview with Lex Friedman talking about why he's endorsed Trump. You have the Joe Rogan stand-up special over the weekend as well. But a lot of the talk with Donald Trump is that he's been off message and not focused, and that he should have never done the Kamala Harris, is she Indian or is she black comments. He should have never done that, and they're focusing on it. They're hyper-focused on that. But when you look at some of the reporting that's going on, a CBS reporter went into a black barbershop and asked them about the Kamala Harris Indian comments.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, I guess, hold on, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
So, I mean, the black community is having this conversation as well. It's not as divisive as they want it to seem. That's a CBS reporter in an all-black barbershop, and the majority of the folks in there say, I don't know, is she? Is she? In fact, CNN covered that CBS report, and a CNN contributor said, well, no. I have callers on my radio show, and they actually said that those guys in the barbershop aren't black.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
Oh, low information voters, no different than you'd find among whites. The way the CNN contributor explained that and used the callers on his radio show that he didn't provide audio from just really had the same vibes as this.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Same energy. But meanwhile, Trump is in Atlanta, Georgia, the same arena where Kamala Harris had a rally where she had to have Megan Thee Stallion to pack the place out. And Trump brings Michaela Montgomery. Michaela Montgomery was the same individual who was at the Chick-fil-A in Georgia, who was very excited to see him some months back. Do you remember that moment where Trump walks into the Chick-fil-A and people are shocked that he's there and they're so surprised? But Michaela Montgomery is there at this rally, and she's just on point. I know Dan played some of this as well, but she's too fired to not replay. She said that pay attention to not what's been said, but what's been done. And I think that could be so true even today. Pay attention to what's been done. The Middle East is on fire. The stock market's on fire. The economy has fears of a recession. Pay attention to what's been done, not what's been said.
To get in your feelings about things that have been said, but I want you guys to pay attention to what has been done. They don't want to talk policy. They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game.
Yep. Here's the quote that's been going viral all over the internet right here.
See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families? I wonder if Mrs. Willie Brown, a black woman, is also with her.
Oh, yikes. She's right, though. She's right. And then did you hear that? I mean, this is fair game, right? You're going to go after Trump and his past transgressions. Well, you can go after Kamala Harris. Also, did you see the story about the first husband? There are reports out there that the first husband cheated on his first wife with the nanny and even allegedly got the nanny pregnant. Yep. The Harris regime will definitely care about the family unit, right? Well, Michaela Montgomery continues while she's in Atlanta, and this woman was just on fire. She really talks about the Indian versus black comments by Donald Trump.
A few days ago, President Trump said he didn't know Vice President Harris was a black woman. I'm trying to figure out what all the outrage is about because she's only black when it's time to get elected. Did I lie?
Nope.
The same black people who are mad at Trump for being confused about her race, ethnicity, nationality, whatever, are seemingly forgetting that while you're touting her as a savior for black people, she identifies as an Asian woman. She chose her side and it wasn't ours. When asked if she would ever do anything specifically for black people, she said no. Whereas Trump gave us the Platinum Plan, which specifically uplifted the black community by increasing capital by almost $500 billion, creating 500,000 new black businesses, and would give black churches the ability to fight for federal resources for their communities.
I mean, in other words, Trump has a record of actually helping out the black community. Kamala Harris has a record of tearing down the black community. In the most simplest way to put it. So, here we are. Trump has been off message, a lot of conservatives say, and he's not focused. I disagree. I think that he's dominating the conversation online. I think that comments like these jar people and wake them up. And then I think you have people like Michaela Montgomery going out there in Atlanta, putting the exclamation point on the comment. And I think that this is actually going to play really well. I may be alone, but I do think that this is going to play really well. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, we're winning over the black community. I truly believe it. As conservatives, we're going to get more votes from the black community than ever before. We're winning over culture. We have Twitter. We have the Joe Rogan stand-up special. We have the two biggest podcasts in the world, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan. they're supporting Trump. And then you got J.D. Vance continuing that momentum, staying on that strategy. J.D. Vance was on the Full Send podcast over the weekend. The Full Send is a huge popular podcast among Gen Z kids. It was posted on Friday, and it had over 1 million views already. And J.D. Vance took on the weird comments that have been thrown at him by the left. And he does it on a podcast for young people, and he goes about his business sounding like a regular, normal person.
There was like a whole clip of like people calling you weird. Did you see that? It was like a clip of like,
I certainly know the Kamala campaign wants to call me weird, but
yeah, but I'm wondering why that word. And because like it was like clipped on like 1,000 different media outlets, like they were all using the same word.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like something they focus grouped and decided to push on us. I mean, like I'm a pretty normal guy. I've got a wife and kids, and I like to hang out and, you know, watch football, and I care about this stuff because I care about the country.
Yeah.
My attitude on this is, my best guess, this is just a total guess, is that her campaign is run by a lot of like 24-year-old social media interns who maybe were bullied in school, and so now they've decided they're going to do that the same thing. They're going to take that like attitude of the middle school social scene and try to run a campaign on it. I just don't think most Americans buy it or care.
Yeah.
But they're certainly pushing it. I'm certainly aware of it. But my attitude is like, I'm just going to be who I am. And if they want to attack me for whatever they're going to attack me on, that's fine. You just got to kind of power through it and do your thing.
So we are up against the mainstream media, but we have to really point out that when it comes to alternative media, we're absolutely dominating. We're dominating the social conversation as conservatives. We're on some of the biggest podcasts. J.D. Vance was on Full Send. Trump, a few weeks back, was on Impulsive with Paul Logan. That got over 6 million views. This J.D. Vance Full Send interview, we're in the culture big time right now. Big time. And you cannot disagree that's not huge. It is huge. You have to be winning the culture war. And I think for the first time in a long time, conservatives are winning the culture war. And I think that's massive, massive. Now, they're going to keep pushing it back against us. They're going to keep using the mainstream media to demonize us, but it is not working. And I wasn't talking to Mason over there, but it's not working. It's not working. And I'll go into more in depth on the Elon Musk Lex Friedman interview, which I thought was really fantastic. And I have some audio from the Joe Rogan stand-up special, which is downright hilarious. We'll do that on the way. Hang out with us. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock store. You know, taking care of your family and your property, it's going to be your responsibility. But you don't want to just pick something up and go. You want to be training. You want to know what you're carrying, and you want to know what to do with it. Well, the place to learn all that is at the Glock store. And I've been learning so much from the Glock store. I went there for a training session a couple weeks ago. The staff is so friendly. I showed up early, and I was greeted by every member of the staff. Everybody in the building asked me if I needed help with something. What could they help me find? All the things. Great staff. And in fact, in the back of the store, they have what's like a genius bar for guns. So any questions you do have, you can go talk to an expert, whether it's about performance parts, calibers, firearms, all the things. They'll answer those questions for you. When you get your firearm the way you want it, how you want it, you got to train. And you're at the right place as well. The Shoot 270 indoor ranges are absolutely fantastic. Again, I trained there a couple weeks ago, and I will never go back to a lane range. Learned more in one session than I could learn in all of my years at a lane range, because it's just you, a private instructor in a room, learning how to shoot. It's totally different. You need to check it out for yourself. Stop by the Glock store, talk to the people, check out the shooting rooms, not because I'm telling you to do it, but because it is your responsibility to know how to use that firearm. It's the Glock store, online at glockstore.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, They want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Vice President Harris is choosing her running mate tomorrow, and Bangladesh's government in full disarray. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jeff. It's 9:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You know, I was just pointing out earlier that the Kamala Harris black Indian comments, Trump just tends to always be right with his comments. And I'm just tired of the doubt from the guy who many people said was dead in the water after January 6th and would never come back in politics, to now being the leading candidate. He's still leading, by the way, in all the polls for the election. We're doubting this guy. I'm not doubting him. In fact, 2 days ago at his rally in Atlanta, he said what we all know, and he was right again. If Kamala wins, well, we're looking at an economic crash.
If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You could have a crash. You could also have a crash like in 1929, more specifically, because that's where we're headed.
That's where we're headed, he says. If I was you, I wouldn't check your portfolio today. Just let it breathe a little bit, right? Maybe buy the dip. We'll try and get Paul Winkler on at some point this week as things try to even out and have a more in-depth conversation on the economy. But I think one thing that we can be sure of is that this is a result of the Biden-Harris regime and their policies. This is a result of the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the haphazard spending. This is all at their feet.
Mr. President, what do you want your legacy for
Cure the economy.
Mr. President, what do you want your legacy to be? That I've cured the economy.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
No, and Donald Trump this morning on True Social said, of course there's a massive market downturn. Kamala is even worse than Crooked Joe. Markets will never accept a radical left lunatic that destroyed San Francisco and California as a whole. Next move, the Great Depression of 2024. You can't play games with markets. Kamala crash. We do need to be putting this at the feet of Kamala Harris. We need to be pinning this blame on the Biden-Harris regime. And we need to say it over and over and over again. Because remember what she told us over and over and over again?
All that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Yeah, they're very proud of it. So the stock market's crashing. The mainstream media is against Donald Trump. It's all too predictable, isn't it? But I just want to point out, don't despair. This is actually good for our cause. I know, but look for the silver lining. This is going to help us come November. We have culture, we have counterculture, and now this, I mean, it's going to wake up a lot of people. We'll discuss more on the culture aspect of it, including Elon Musk and the Joe Rogan Netflix live comedy special, which even the New York Post attacked him over. After the newscast with Jeff Malenhoff on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 9:30. I'm Jeff Malenhoff with your top stories. It's 83 degrees. It's going to get hotter today. That full forecast in 2 minutes. Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned, ending 15 years in power. ABC's Tom Rivers with more.
Breaking the news, the country's army chief. He says the focus now, forming an interim government. Leaders of all political parties have been invited to come and thrash out an acceptable solution. The Prime Minister boarded a military helicopter with her sister, destination unknown. The move came after growing anti-government demonstrations. The government attempted to quell that dissent with force, leaving nearly 300 people dead. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
Election 2024 news. Vice President Kamala Harris will be choosing her running mate tomorrow after getting enough votes to be the new Democratic nominee for president. Here is Selena Wayne with more.
Sources tell ABC News she met on Sunday with top contenders at her residence in Washington, including Arizona Senator and retired astronaut Mark Kelly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and popular first-term Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a former prosecutor. Harris looking for a VP she can trust and, crucially, can help her win.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jeff Malenhoff, WTN News.
That was Jeff's first full newscast. I just want to say good job, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Crushed it. It's 9:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I got to tell you about my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. Today is a day where you want to have a guy in the financial industry. And I met with Paul last week, and I got to tell you, I feel a little bit more relaxed than I would have if I hadn't met with Paul. What do you do in this kind of turmoil? What do you do in an election season where you're not sure which side is going to win? How are the markets going to be affected? You want to have a guy in your corner that knows what he's talking about. And Paul has helped me diversify and really prepare myself and my family for the future. So even when stuff like this is going on in the economy, I'm not stressing out. And I'm not stressing out because Paul has been doing this for a long time. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show. He's been doing that for over 20 years here on WTN. He spent time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize, and they hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. Paul wants to also make sure that I tell you I get paid to do these commercials, but I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because when I talk to Paul, he can break it down for me in a way that I can understand, and he can help me relax about money. Call Paul and his team today. Set up that 15-minute phone call online at paulwinkler.com. He'll help you relax too. paulwinkler.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I have. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, californiaclosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, californiaclosets.com.
9:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. You know, the stock market is in free fall, if you will. I do have an update. Paul Winkler is going to join the show with us tomorrow at 9 o'clock after all of this kind of hopefully subdues, kind of evens out a little bit, and talk to us about what we're witnessing today and what it means for the future. But I also want to point out that while the stock market's crashing, it does help conservatives a little bit. If you remember, Trump predicted a long time ago that the market would crash if Joe Biden was elected, and the Kamala campaign tried to do a victory lap on this comment a couple months back.
And you know what? I'm not so far away from that again, believe it or not. But if Biden gets in, the market will crash.
They posted that clip on May 24th and said, 4 years ago, Trump claimed the market would crash if Joe Biden was elected. Well, yeah, we just had to wait a couple extra months. They were counting their chickens before they hatched, if you will. So now that's another loss, another L at the feet of Kamala Harris and the Biden-Harris regime. A lot of this could have been avoided, too. I'm reading if Jerome Powell had just cut some of the interest rates last week, eased them a little bit last week, a lot of this domino effect, I'm reading, could have been avoided. But, what do I know? What do I know? I do know, however, that we're winning the culture war. Lex Friedman has a good podcast, and he had Elon Musk on. And I haven't seen Elon this comfortable in an interview, but he really breaks down why he's voting for Donald Trump and why he endorsed Trump in this interview.
People tend to take, say, an endorsement as, well, I agree with everything that person's ever done their entire life 100% wholeheartedly. And that's not going to be true of anyone. But we have to pick, we've got two choices really for who's president. And it's not just who's president, but the entire administrative structure changes over. And I thought Trump displayed courage under fire, objectively. He's just got shot. He's got blood streaming down his face, and he's fist pumping, saying fight. That's impressive. You can't feign bravery in a situation like that. Most people would be ducking. There would not be, because it could be a second shooter. You don't know.
He didn't know. You can't fake that. And also with that kind of bravery, when you look at the chaos in the Middle East, they're going to be meeting about that this afternoon, Biden and his staff. Are the markets going to respond to that? It feels like the markets are bracing for a Kamala Harris presidency, because you need somebody on the world stage that's going to represent you that's going to be strong. You need strength, is what Elon says.
But the president of the United States has got to represent the country. And they're representing you. They're representing everyone in America. Well, I think you want someone who is strong and courageous.
Yep.
To represent the country. That's not to say that he is without flaws. We all have flaws. But on balance, and certainly at the time, it was a choice of, Biden, poor guy, has trouble climbing a flight of stairs, and the other one's fist pumping after getting shot. This is no comparison. I mean, who do you want dealing with some of the toughest people and, other world leaders who are pretty tough themselves?
Yeah, well, you don't want Kamala Harris dealing with those world leaders, just vomiting word salad all over them. You don't want that. And we're not asking for a lot, Elon says. It's also important to point out how lucky we are that Elon Musk now owns Twitter. Incredibly lucky. Incredibly lucky to have a free flow of information. It's helping us win the culture war. But we're not asking for a lot. We're asking for what? Secure borders, safe and clean cities, and to get the spending under control. The spending, which actually led a lot to this market nosedive we're seeing happening today.
I think we want a secure border. We don't have a secure border. We want safe and clean cities. I think we want to reduce the amount of spending that we're, at least slow down the spending. And And because we're currently spending at a rate that is bankrupting the country.
Yeah, and everybody understands that. $35 trillion in debt. $35 trillion in debt. It's ballooned under the Biden-Harris regime. And as Elon puts it, our interest payments exceeded the entire Defense Department spending this year. I don't know. Is that good? Is that good?
The interest payments on U.S. debt this year exceeded the entire Defense Department spending. If this continues, all of the federal government taxes will simply be paying the interest. And you keep going down that road, and you end up, in the tragic situation that Argentina had back in the day. Argentina used to be one of the most prosperous places in the world. And hopefully with Milei taking over, he can restore that. But it was an incredible fall from grace for Argentina to go from being one of the most prosperous places in the world to being very far from that. So I think we should not take American prosperity for granted. So we really want to, I think we've got to reduce the size of government, we've got to reduce the spending, and we've got to live within our means.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward and simple enough. I don't know if that seems straightforward and simple to the Biden-Harris regime or the future Harris regime if she's to get in. Again, I don't think she's going to get in. I think we have Twitter and we're winning the culture war and we have free flow of information. I think that's going to help us. I think that a market nosedive like today is going to help us. I do. But we're winning the culture war. And Joe Rogan's comedy special over the weekend really put an exclamation point on that. He was dropping red pills out of the gate on this special. And I think that you have to really acknowledge that we're winning the culture war at a much higher level than we've ever done before.
It's just good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. There's a lot of people that I don't with anymore. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica. I'm just kidding. I don't think Michelle Obama's got a but I believe all that other
I mean, hilarious. The New York Post actually said that Joe Rogan mocks COVID vaccine in new stand-up special, and he mocks trans people. That's what the New York Post said, which I thought was weird. I thought the New York Post was on our side, and I didn't exactly think that he was mocking the COVID vaccine. He was telling jokes, and then the trans stuff that he mentioned. I mean, well, listen, I'll just play it for you. I don't think he was mocking trans people.
And here's my take. I just want to be real clear. I believe in trans people because I think the world is strange and nature is strange. And I think nature can throw you a curveball and you believe you're in the wrong body. And I fully support your right as an adult to do whatever you want that makes you happy. I believe in freedom and I believe in love.
Doesn't seem like a harsh take, right? I think it was maybe this part that the New York Post was mad about.
Also believe in crazy people. And here's the thing, that somehow or another, that got left out of the equation. All of a sudden, crazy people just went away like the flu during COVID. Like, oh, it just got absorbed in the numbers. Suddenly, every man in a dress is stunning and brave. It's like, trans women are women. How about most? How about almost all? You gotta leave room for crazy. Listen, I'm sorry if it's taking me a while to adjust, but all my life, if there was a movie about a killer, he was way crazier if he wore a dress. Psycho! He dresses like his mom, stabs ladies in the shower, Silence of the Lambs, and puts the lotion in the basket. Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf was dressed like a lady. I'm not prejudiced. I like to look at men in dresses like I look at everything else on an individual basis. Mrs. Doubtfire seems like a lovely human. All right? I'm open-minded. I just want to know what happened.
What happened? Listen, we're winning the culture war at unforeseen levels. That guys has the number 2 podcast in the country, Joe Rogan. To say he's not a cultural influence would be, you'd be mistaken. Also, this joke might have got him in trouble about the trans stuff, but it might have been one of his funniest ones that he had.
It's almost like a pervert wizard waved a magic spell in the whole world. Like, with a wave of this wand, you can walk through the women's locker room with a hard and anybody who complains is a Nazi. Abracadabra! And it just worked. And everyone just accepts this new reality, and it's weird.
Yep.
I just think we need standards. You can't just put lipstick on, now you can the women's room. Like, we need some kind of standard.
Amen. And I don't think that it's a controversial take. They're mad at Joe Rogan for telling jokes over at the New York Post, but I think that they're really secretly mad that we're winning the culture war. And it's important to win the culture war. Hugely important. You have a generation of kids coming up that are not following mainstream media, that haven't followed mainstream media, are going to alternative news sources, are going to podcasts like Full Send, where J.D. Vance was on, like Impulsive, where Donald Trump made an appearance with the Logan brothers, like Joe Rogan, like Tucker Carlson. We're winning in all of these areas. We have to celebrate those wins because we got another generation coming up behind us that we need to wake up. And that's massively important for kids who have their heads buried in cell phones. On the way at 10:05, Sarah Segan from Parents Who Fight is going to be in here talking about how important it is to win that culture war when it comes to the next generation. And she's bringing her son, Judah, who's going to be leaving for college in a couple of days. And we're going to talk about that culture war on college campuses as well and how the smartphone is affecting it. That'll be after 10 o'clock, after the news with Jeff Malinoff. And we got a lot more on the way. Plus, the Trump rally in Atlanta. We'll get to some of that audio and more. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. It is that time for you to walk around your home. Okay, if you have a moment, walk around your home. Do you notice cracks in your foundation or sinking patio steps or sidewalks? Like these could all be foundation issues. And what do you do in that situation? You don't turn a blind eye because that problem is only going to get worse. What you need to do is call an expert that you can trust. And the guys that I trust are over at United Structural Systems. They've been doing this work in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they have over 25,000 satisfied customers. They're not going anywhere. And today through August 30th, they have a back-to-school promotion. Any job over $2,500 is 10% off from the jump. It's pretty awesome. Plus, the guys at USS offer same-as-cash options with no payment, no interest financing for up to a year, free inspections, whatever you need, foundation repair, basement waterproofing, crawl space repair, mold treatment, concrete leveling. They do it all at USS. Call them today. They'll take a look. The number, my friends, is 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, 615-488-7855. Online at USSTN.com.
2 teens in custody after a shooting in downtown Nashville and the stock market in a nosedive. Those stories coming up at 10 a.m. on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jeff. It is 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I'm joined in studio by Sarah Segan from Parents Who Fight. What's up, Sarah?
Hey, how's it going?
And Sarah brought a guest. Will you introduce us to your guest?
Yeah, so this is my 20-year-old son, Judah.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So you were the first guinea pig for Parents Who Fight.
Yes.
Yes, I was. How many years ago was that?
We started almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So you were a wee lad.
Yep, day one.
And I think just give me just a brief rundown on what Parents Who Fight is. You know, I'm familiar. We're all familiar in here, but just for anybody else who doesn't really know what you guys are doing at Parents Who Fight.
Yeah, so we just help parents know how to protect kids online. And that is simple coaching to help parents know, like, literally what doors to lock. But it's also community advocacy. And there's been a lot at the federal level and the state level that we've been able to be involved with, and just getting some better regulations, holding big tech accountable. It's been a really interesting journey, and it's been fun to have my son along with me.
No, and I'm excited. I mean, there's been a lot of big tech news recently with the shutting down of the Donald Trump assassination attempt on Google and Facebook. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that big tech is completely captured, and obviously Google is part of that. So none of that surprises me at all. I think it's interesting as a parent, you know, kids use things like Google incessantly, right? They're curious. They want to know about the world. And so you just put it in the pile of the things that you have to educate your kids about, that the answer you're getting from this or the AI chatbot or whatever, this is not actually reality some of the time. Like, it cannot fully be trusted. And just to establish yourself as a parent of, like, come to me with your questions and I'm going to help you find the truth, and not just what the big tech propaganda wants you to know about any issue, really.
And you guys have had some big victories lately, especially in regards to COSA. So we'll talk about all that and more after the news with Jeff Malinoff on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10 a.m. and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It is 85 degrees. It's only going to get hotter today. That full forecast in about 2 minutes. The stock market today is not looking good as we see huge nosedives this morning, with Dow seeing the worst hit with over 1,000 points down, and S&P 500 and NASDAQ not far behind. Here's ABC's Derek Danis.
Well before the opening bell, Dow Jones futures nosedived 3.3% or 1,300 points. S&P 500 futures were down 4.7%, while tech-focused NASDAQ 100 futures crumbled 6% in morning action. Some reasons for the sell-off. Over the weekend, Goldman Sachs economists increased their risk of a U.S. recession to 25% in the next 12 months, while some analysts say the Fed has been too slow to cut interest rates, putting off a potential rate cut to its next meeting in September. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
And it's now only at 1,100 points, but before it's 1,300. Dow is. NASDAQ at 630 currently, and S&P 500 down 170. Moving on to news and more American military hardware is being moved into the Middle East, with Israel waiting for possible retaliation from Iran after the assassination of the leader of Hamas. ABC's Tom Sophie Burridge has the details.
President Biden announcing those new defensive measures for Israel on the phone to Prime Minister Netanyahu over the weekend, but the president calling their phone call very direct, saying the killing of the leader of Hamas in the Iranian capital had, quote, not helped the chances of getting a ceasefire in Gaza. A former Israeli general telling me he thinks Iran and Hezbollah will attempt a more decisive attack than that mass barrage of Iranian drones and missiles fired at Israel in April.
Now in news in Nashville, 2 teens are in custody in a connection with a shooting near a downtown hotel that left 1 man injured. Metro Nashville Police Department said the teens ages 17 and 15 were arrested for their suspected involvement in a drug-related shooting in front of a parking garage on 6th Avenue North near Hermitage Hotel at 7:18 p.m. The 34-year-old victim was shot on Union Street, and then he ran to the hotel for help. He is being treated for non-life-threatening wounds after being shot twice, according to police. The teens are being questioned about their involvement. That's the latest news. Weather next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Sarah Siegand and Judah Siegand are in studio with me from Parents Who Fight. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
You guys have been busy. Fill me in on COSA. It's now passed.
Passed the Senate.
Okay, so tell me where we are and what's next.
Yeah, so...
And what it is a little bit.
So COSA was a big bill that we were trying to get through the Senate. There's actually a number of online safety bills over the past couple of years, but that one had the most support, so it was kind of like everybody was leaning in on that. And so that passed through the Senate last Thursday, but actually one little surprise thing that ended up being pretty awesome is there was a legislation that was passed in 1998. So the last really significant online safety legislation that impacts kids was passed in 1998. Did you have children in 1998? I did not. No. So totally.
I was 10.
Yeah, it's like before the social media era. I mean, I was married. I'm a little bit on the older side, but it did not. It's called COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And it made a difference in making sure that big tech wasn't collecting data on kids, because big tech existed even before Apple and the iPhone and all that. But the biggest impact that we see in the day-to-day, which I have literally been talking to Judah about since day one.
Yeah, since like 7th grade.
Yeah, was the fact that COPPA was the reason why kids under 13 were not allowed, air quotes, to be on social media. It's not because social media companies were like, oh, this is inappropriate for 12-year-olds. They'd be happy to have you at 12, 11, 10, 9, and they have. Millions of kids are on those platforms. But COPPA was the regulation that said they really weren't allowed to collect the data to open an account on a child that young. So 1998 was when COPPA was passed. So people have been trying to get COPPA updated into the social media era for decades. And they, at the last minute, they stitched some of the COPPA updates into COSA. So now it became, I don't know how you say it, COSPA? It's the Kids Online Safety and Privacy Act. And it does have some of the new, stronger features of COPPA to raise the advertising age. So, for example, my son, when he's on social media, he's getting bombarded, as a minor by targeted ads. Well, now that has the opportunity to go away. But we still have got to get these measures passed through the House. So we're not out of the woods yet. But COSA or COSPA, it passed by a landslide in the Senate. It was 91-3. Ironically, a couple of conservatives were part of the 3. We don't need to go into that.
But you got names?
2 of them I know by name, Rand Paul and Mike Lee.
What were their reasons? Because I like Rand Paul and Mike Lee.
Yeah, it's interesting because we actually met with Mike Lee's office. Do you remember that, Judah? And you had an interesting take on why maybe they didn't support it, but I don't remember. You were saying that maybe they had some other safety legislation.
Yeah. They had another piece of legislation that had to do with online safety that they were wanting to get passed, and I think because of that, and maybe some of his other opinions he decided to
I don't know.
object. Yeah.
But Rand Paul he actually gave up this whole speech before the vote and everything a couple of days prior, about a week and a half ago, about censorship and all this stuff, which is something when Judah and I were part of a coalition that went to DC and traveled around to offices. And we did hear people ask some questions about that. And so to help people understand, to clarify, this legislation is really a design features legislation. So what it's going to do is it's going to turn on the safest settings by default. It's going to require that for all minors, unless you go in and turn it off. It is going to protect minors from the algorithm because they'll be able to opt out. And Judah, the algorithm aspect of social media is huge, and it's a big reason why kids are falling victim to so many things.
Yeah, I think a lot of times those algorithms will use just the slightest impulse decision, like some thing you like, and then suddenly your whole feed is taken up with that. And on the subject of why some people have objected on the conservative side, I think a lot of it has to do mainly with fear or worry that the social media companies are going to abuse it to shut down conservative content reaching minors or reaching younger people.
Right. But they've shown that it's like this is not a content moderation bill. It's actually just going to control the flow of the information not being automated at our kids. So it's not going to limit any kids, and it's worded very broadly to make sure that this happens so that they can go searching for the content that they want, but it's supposed to, protect them from the harmful content that searches for them. Like, for example, one of the things we heard over and over in the conversations with the Wired Human Youth Coalition is how a teenage girl can go look up, some sort of diet thing or fitness thing. And it takes very little time for that to turn into eating disorder content. And then it's just searching them out, and it's finding them wherever they go online, that those cookies and the algorithm is just hunting them.
It's insane to see it happen in real time. But Judah, you've been raised in the social media era. What are the differences that you've noticed as, you've had parents that have kept you away from it versus kids who parents have just given them the phone at 5 years old? What's the differences between those two groups?
Yeah. I've seen, ever since I was in really almost elementary school, like kids with phones, I think I started asking for a phone in maybe third or fourth grade.
Right.
And growing up with that, it was funny because in middle school, it was a social thing of like, if I'm not on social media, like I don't know when anything's happening. I don't have a car at that time. I can't go to anything. So I have to know ahead of time when things are happening. But as time went on, the people who I know who had social media at 11, had social media at even the actual required age of 13 have said bro, it's not worth it. It totally gave me anxiety, and I knew I was depressed, and I didn't even know it was because of social media. I just thought I had it. That was the story of a lot of people. And I know some people, tons of girls with eating disorders at the time of when they got social media. And obviously we've seen a spike in depression and suicide very directly with when Instagram was bought by Facebook. So growing up with that, I could tell there was a big difference.
Yeah. When you got to college, I think you could see it a little bit more clearly even because it was people from all over.
Yeah.
Whereas here, your church friends, most of them didn't have social media early.
Yeah, most of my closest friends didn't have social media.
Yeah, so that was a big plus.
So as you're coming up in this digital age, the culture war is important. How do you feel that conservatives are doing in the culture war, you specifically as a 20-year-old guy?
Yeah, as a 20-year-old dude, they're doing fantastic from what I can see. I know that obviously, there's always going to be, because of the polarization nature of social media, there's going to be a huge split where there's a whole group of people that, we probably never even interact with on a day-to-day basis that think the exact opposite of us.
How many of your friends are getting their news from mainstream media sources?
basically zero.
Do you think that's a generational thing? Do you think or is it just because you tend to lean conservative? Do you think that the kids in your age group that are liberal are getting it from mainstream media?
I think it's a generational thing, because I think we've just learned, like, it's not worth it. 2, no one watches TV. And 3, like, when you're like, we'll get bits of information, but we're never stopping there, really. No, I don't think anyone's like seeing what ABC or NBC is putting out and then just saying, oh, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Most people are kind of digging a little deeper.
Where are you getting your news from?
So I'm getting my news primarily from some conservative podcasts. I listen to some Daily Wire stuff. I also get a lot of news from this one social media Instagram page. I think that's where most people get news, is like social media.
Yeah.
Do you think that conservatives are having a good strategy right now with going on some of these podcasts like Full Send, like Impulsive with Paul Logan? Trump was on that, JD Vance on Full Send over the weekend. Do you think that that's an arena where they need to be to hit that target demo?
Yes, for sure. Because even if we're not seeing that directly, we're getting the sound bites after, and they're going viral.
Yeah.
All the little, TikToks, Instagram videos that are being brought out of those podcasts or videos, YouTube videos, whatever. I think of Whistling Diesel. He doesn't even comment on too much politically, but people watch his stuff, and it's very obviously he's conservative voice. And he, I think people, YouTubers like that, we see their stuff, maybe not firsthand, but always secondhand. We're always going to see that in the feed.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I think to your generation, you were in the 10th grade when everything shut down with COVID. And so if you were impacted by that, which a lot of his peers were, there became a pretty instant distrust of, are we getting the full story?
Exactly.
And he didn't have social media at the time, but I think those who did really went to social media to see who else is saying other things and how valid are those concerns. So I feel like there's a little bit of a new template that's working with his generation.
No, and I like to see it. I like hearing it firsthand from you. Do you think that your generation, where are they putting the blame for the COVID lockdowns?
That's a difficult question. I think most people, I know that there's like some people who would say the Biden administration has said like, oh, it was Trump, it was because they set us up for failure. But I think most people have said like the fault. A lot of people have dug into the conspiracy theories that kind of ended up being probably true of it coming out of China, whatever. But I would say most people just believe that it was honestly, I don't even know if anyone really has dug like that deep into who caused this, whatever, who was the cause of this. But I know a lot of people after the fact and just seeing the effects of it and how they were, put into basically solitary confinement.
Yeah,
it was hard.
It was a rough couple of years. And Judah actually cut his teeth on community advocacy by going to the school board to petition for coming back to school and getting masks off. And that at the time was not a popular stance at your high school.
My high school was super liberal. I went to Hume Fogg.
Okay.
Yeah. So downtown Nashville, just very, I think there was maybe 5 or 6 other kids that were like openly conservative or Republican. And so going to that school, I got a lot of backlash.
When you look at the people that you graduated with, have a lot of them changed their tune since then?
I think definitely a lot of them have become more moderate, especially as it comes to like us talking, just randomly in group chats about the upcoming election, just saying like, I don't even want to vote for either of them. Like a lot of the people who are super far left have now come in and said like, I can't vote for either the,
has it changed since Harris became the nominee?
I think a little bit. Some people, some people do fall into the trap of just saying like, oh well, she's got all these things. It's like when you really look at what her policy and what she believes in, it doesn't even align with where you're at.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them too. It's like this is their first election cycle, really. I mean, you had a couple of little, school board elections and some, state representatives and whatnot. But for the 20-year-olds, this is it. They've been waiting for the show. And I can specifically remember in 6th grade when Trump was elected and just kind of how all that went down. And I don't think the kids had ever seen their schools react to an election. They're in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. What do they care? Who's the president? They don't know anything about it. So I think it's been building for a while. And I think, it's been interesting because now your generation knows all of these things that I didn't know when I was 20.
What do you think about the role that social media is going to play in the upcoming election?
Huge. I think it's going to play a huge role. And I think what's going to really carry a lot of weight are the way that the candidates are able to speak confidently about what they actually believe, and not the talking points, not the reading from the teleprompter, not the gobbledygook that comes from Kamala's circular arguments. I think especially this generation, they want to see authenticity.
Yep.
That's what they care about. Yep. And so if you seem slick, like you've memorized something with a bunch of buzzwords, and, just even the whole thing of who's in the pocket, the money. The kids are really, really smart about following the money and knowing, like, they're asking questions about, like, who's funding this? Big pharma, big tech. They know all of this language that, 10 years ago, young people just didn't have that. They didn't have the vocabulary to explain the capture.
And I think you have to say that that's a byproduct of COVID.
Yeah.
Has to be a
Totally.
big portion of it. Yeah. As you continue the fight with parents who fight, what's next for you guys?
So we are focusing efforts on the House in the fall because we need to get COSA or COSPA through the House so that it can go to the presidential desk to be signed into law. Biden already said he would sign it into law. Obviously, there is a huge lobbying effort of big tech to keep this from getting that far. Facebook or Meta, spent $20 million alone, the most money of any technology company in the tech sector to lobby against this legislation. So they are going to fight it. We are in for a fight, but I think 91-3 speaks volumes. And what we're saying to parents at the grassroots level in the coffee shop and at church is like, you don't need to worry about getting your kids on social media right now. It's going to get a lot safer in the coming years. So just wait. And it gives them a reason to hold off. So I think, educating parents to kind of stay out of that scene for a while and put their efforts instead on getting your elected representatives to support this legislation in the House and seeing that we actually have a chance to save our kids from the way they have been used and abused by big tech, because big tech is going to be held accountable. That's what we've been waiting for this whole time. It's not a fair fight for, parents to be like, man, my kid's addicted to their phone. Well, that's on purpose. That's by design. And we actually are going to make some ground in keeping our kids from those addictive, manipulative features on the phone. So I have a lot of hope that we're going to get this done, but it is going to take all of us.
Where can people find you and get involved in this fight?
ParentsWhoFight.com and daily updates on Instagram, ironically.
Ironically. What's your Instagram handle?
Parents Who Fight.
All right, perfect. Sarah Segan and Judah Segan, thank you guys so much for coming through and talking with us today.
Thanks, Chris.
It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hurricane Debbie has hit Florida as we update the drastic downfall of that stock market. Those stories at 10:30 a.m. on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jeff. It's 10:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thanks again to Sarah Segan and Judah Segan from Parents Who Fight coming in and talking a little bit about what they have going on, as well as the culture war that we're seeing happening before our eyes. I think we're winning, which is it's fun. It's fun to watch. You know, they say that Trump is not on message and he's not focused, and those comments about Kamala Harris, is she Indian or is she black, it's gonna hurt him. But I don't think so. I disagree. And as far as being on message, he was on message in Atlanta. He was very on message in Atlanta at his rally over the weekend. It was a wild one.
Crazy Kamala, ultra left, you know that. She was here a week ago, lots of empty seats. But the crowd she got was because she had entertainers, and it all started to unfold when they started to leave about 10 minutes into the speech.
Yep.
It was very boring. I don't need entertainers. I fill the stadium because I'm making America great again. That's our entertainment. That's our entertainment, making America great again.
You know, he's talking about the videos of all the people leaving the Kamala Harris rally in Atlanta. That was our friend Savannah Hernandez, friend of the show. She sat through 3 hours of waiting in the rain and then 3 hours of a Kamala Harris rally, and she had that video that she released. I say Kamala Harris rally, I mean Megan Thee Stallion concert. But Trump was on message in Atlanta. He went after Kamala Harris's record, and he talked about the unemployment numbers that really led to this nosedive in the market that we're seeing today.
Under Harris-Biden policies, we now have the highest unemployment rate in 3 years. Just came out yesterday. Even I was surprised. Those numbers were terrible. If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You're going to have a crash. You could also have a crash like in 1929, more specifically, because that's where we're heading. When we win, you will rapidly see a brand new Trump economic boom. It's going to be booming like it was 4 years ago.
You know, the unemployment numbers are bad, but it gets even worse, actually. The Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antoni told Breitbart News Saturday that most of the job growth under the Biden-Harris regime has gone to foreign-born workers. Yep. So he was speaking to Breitbart News Saturday's host Matthew Boyle that because the unemployment rate jumped to 4.3%. Employers added 114,000 workers to their payrolls in July, which was a huge miss from the estimates of the 180,000 expected jobs created. And again, that caused the nosedive that we're seeing in the market today. But Antoni compiled some of the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about those terrible numbers under of the economy under the Biden-Harris regime, including that most of the recent job growth has gone to foreign-born workers, including illegal aliens. So the job numbers sound really, really bad, but if you actually put it into perspective, it's even worse for American citizens. He explained to Breitbart News Saturday, we've lost 1.2 million jobs among native-born Americans. So all of the job gains, 1.3 million, have gone to foreign-born workers. In fact, today, this is astonishing, but there are fewer native-born Americans working now than before 5 years ago, before the pandemic. Crazy. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10:30 and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's 87 degrees, only going to get hotter. Full forecast in about 2 minutes. Hurricane Debbie has hit landfall in Florida as Governor Ron DeSantis is ready for the aftermath.
We have been approved for federal disaster assistance. Our pre-landfall declaration was approved. Our National State Guard are ready for search, rescue, and humanitarian assistance as needed.
With the stock market also falling, stockbrokers and others are looking for answers. ABC's Rebecca Jarvis has the details.
The Fed continuously tells us that they're looking at the data, things like where is inflation trending, where is the jobs market trending, and where Wall Street is, they're looking at Friday's jobs report, and they're saying we'd like to see something more like 180, 200,000 jobs added in a month, and we'd like to see unemployment not trending so much rapidly higher. That's where people will say, well, the Fed should have already cut.
Dow right now is actually below that 1,000-point loss threshold. It's at 868 currently. NASDAQ at 462 and S&P 500 at 129. All three have actually gone down or up, if you will, after this big nose fall. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Thank you, Jeff. It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You heard Jeff talk about it's going to get hotter. It is. And if your AC is not working the way it should be, you're feeling it. You are definitely feeling it. Maybe you just need some maintenance and you can get that thing running at maximum peak efficiency. Maybe you need to repair something or gosh forbid, you need to replace that old AC system. Well, if that's the case, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. Busy Bee offers up to 12 months with no payment, no interest with approved credit, and it'll pay in so many ways to sign up for that Beehive Club membership, which gets so much value for such a small cost. When you're a Beehive Club member, it's only $99 and you get 3 annual tune-ups, one for your heating, one for your cooling, one for your plumbing, a 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. And right now, for the month of August, they're offering a buy one, get one special on that Beehive Club membership for the teacher that you're going to be meeting as you head back to school. Well, and not just a teacher, it could also be a coach or a member of the faculty at your school. It's back to school, buy one, get one on Beehive Club memberships. So while some kids are bringing apples, have your kid bring a Beehive Club membership. Buy one, get one on the Beehive Club membership now through the end of August. Call Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner, 615. Oh, hold on, computer just froze. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
right, back to our breaking news right now. We are looking at what's taking place down in Wall Street. The Dow Jones is down about 1,010 points. It's about 2.5%. We've been watching this all morning. The plummet is fueling fears of recession amid a global market meltdown. Tech stocks are driving this nosedive, I should say, as investors are selling off all of those equities, as well as crypto and oil stocks, also contributing to the drop. Friday's disappointing jobs report and an unchanged Fed interest rate.
Yeah, the market doesn't look good. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The NASDAQ has never been down 1,000 points in its entire history until, a couple weeks after Kamala Harris becomes becoming president becomes a possibility. I don't know. Correlation, causation, I don't know. But Donald Trump has to stay on message, right? He has to. Or we can't win. We can't win unless Trump stays on message. Well, when it comes to economic fundamentals and who the American people trust, well, people trust Trump much more on the economy. Fox News had a poll up from the Wall Street Journal between July 23rd and July 25th. 52% of Americans trust Trump more than they trust Harris at 40%. Shocker, I know. This is good for us. It might be painful. There might be some really, really tough situations because of it. But in the long run, I think it helps us. And Trump was on message over the weekend in Atlanta talking about the unemployment numbers that caused the market to nosedive.
Under Harris-Biden policies, we now have the highest unemployment rate in 3 years. Just came out yesterday. Even I was surprised. Those numbers were terrible. If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You're going to have a crash. You could also have a crash like in 1929, more specifically, because that's where we're heading. When we win, you will rapidly see a brand new Trump economic boom. It's going to be booming like it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't even take Kamala Harris becoming president. Just being vice president is enough, and her being the nominee is enough for the markets to brace for impact. It has definitely been a wild few days. Donald Trump continued his attack on Kamala Harris in Atlanta, really pointing out the fact that she can't speak without a teleprompter. It's been now, 15, 16 days since she's become the presumptive nominee, and we don't even have an interview with her. We don't have hard questions with her. All we get are pre-rehearsed, scripted talking points.
If she doesn't have a teleprompter, she can't even speak. Did you see her the other night? They put a camera in her face. She can't even talk. We just went through 4 years. Let's not go through another. Can't talk.
No, she can't. She can't. We just went through 4 years of this. Let's not do it again. And I think that American people aren't going to let it happen. Because when you look at Kamala Harris, she's even more radical than Joe Biden. We can go down the list of the receipts, but Trump does it in a very, very Trump fashion.
Kamala's radical ideas belong in a San Francisco commune filled with far-left freaks, but they do not belong in the White House. They do not belong in the United States of America. This November, Georgia is going to tell Kamala that we will not let her turn America into a communist country.
No, and if she gets in, we're going to be Argentina 2.0. But her ideas belong in a San Francisco commune. That's what Donald Trump says. A San Francisco commune. Yep. David Axelrod actually isn't sure about the momentum that Kamala Harris is alleged to have, that the mainstream media is propping her up. David Axelrod said there's a lot of irrational exuberance on the Democratic side of the aisle right now because there was despair for some period of time about what November was going to look like. Now people feel like there's a chance, but it's absolutely Trump's race to lose right now. He is ahead, and he is ahead in most of the battleground states. They're close. They can be won by either candidate. I think it's a wide open race, but Trump has the advantage right now, and everybody should be sober about that on the Democratic side. Well, yes, they should sober up about that. And I think that with this happening with the economy right now, today, I think Democrats are going to sober up a lot more because nobody trusts Kamala Harris with that. But we don't trust Kamala Harris with a lot of things. And she's flip-flopped on so many issues. Even CNN, Dana Bash was on CNN over the week, and she outlined the flip-flops from Kamala Harris.
In the 2020 primary, the vice president praised the defund the police movement, and now she says she doesn't support defunding the police. She called for decriminalizing crossing the border illegally. Now she supports President Biden's policies for clamping down at the border. She supported Medicare for all at one point, eliminating private insurance, and her campaign says she doesn't support that now. She's reversed herself on a fracking ban. What do you think that voters should think when she's reversed herself on several issues just in the last 4 years?
I think that voters should think that she's a human being who learns new things every single day.
Oh, okay. That's LaFonza Butler. She's a human being who learns new things every day. I actually, I don't think that's the right way to put it. I would say deep state lizard person puppet, but that's just me. That's just me. And she's reversed on everything. She was defund the police for the longest time, and Donald Trump brought that up at the rally.
For years, she has pushed legislation to strip police officers of any protection. They have no protection. Anything they do, they get sued, they go bankrupt, they lose their house, they lose their family, they lose their pension. They ruin their lives. They want to ruin their lives. She was the worst at ruining police officers. And by the way, I have the endorsement of virtually every police organization in the United States. Almost every. And when I'm president of the United States, again, we will never defund the police. We will only overfund. We're going to overfund the police if we have to. I will always give our law enforcement heroes the protection, resources, and respect that they so dearly deserve.
Yeah. And you know what? People believe him when he says it. I think that's the biggest difference. When Kamala Harris talks, nobody believes her. When Trump says something, people do believe it. But she's been for defunding the police for years. For years. She's been anti-cop for years. Now she's not. No. Not when she wants to get elected. But before that, yes. When it was politically convenient in 2019, 2020, yes, she was for defund the police. She'll put her finger in the air and see which way is blowing. But she does have a record that you can go after, and Trump stays laser focused on message, and he goes after her record as the San Francisco DA, Attorney General, and the like.
The DA of San Francisco, Harris, shielded illegal alien crack dealers from deportation. She wouldn't let them be deported. She fought like hell. She wouldn't arrest criminals of the worst kind. She wouldn't arrest murderers. She wouldn't arrest anybody.
On the illegal aliens point, I think we need to lean in on that big time. Half of Americans see mass migration as critical threat. Half. This is according to a survey conducted for the pro-migration Chicago Council of Global Affairs. 83% of GOP voters and 45% of swing voters described migration as a critical threat, said the August 2nd report, which skewed the result by hiding the additional share of Americans who said immigration is important but not critical. 61% of Republicans, 37% of all respondents believe that immigrants from other cultures have a mainly negative impact on American society, the report admitted. 55% of Americans want a border wall, the report admitted. Half of all Republicans also want to decrease legal immigration, alongside 31% of the independents. This is from a pro-migration group. Those numbers may rise further because roughly 40% of the respondents are largely ignoring the issue of migration. That large passivity is encouraged by the many GOP strategists and legislators who downplay the economic impact of the policy, usually under pressure from donors. And Kamala Harris, as DA, fought to not deport illegal aliens. We need to lean in on this even more.
The state has gone to hell. Gavin Newsom is the worst, one of the worst guys. Gavin Newsom. But she was the one that started it. She ruined San Francisco, ruined California. As California Attorney General, she defined and redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person raped as nonviolent. These were nonviolent crimes. We shouldn't even prosecute these people. To help spring child predators and dangerous criminals out of prison all over the state. And during the left-wing riots of 2020, you saw that, she urged her followers to donate to bail rapists and murderers out of jail while saying that the violent mobs should not stop. They should not stop, she said.
Yeah, and we've all heard that clip. It was on the Colbert Report, or the Stephen Colbert late night show. Do not stop. They will not stop. The thing about the Kamala campaign is they don't understand that we have all these receipts. They don't realize that the internet lives forever. But it does, and everybody has them. She's a radical defund the police liberal. She is a radical open borders liberal. That's Kamala Harris. Trump leaned in. He was on message, on point the entire night when it comes to Kamala Harris and her record. And Kamala has nothing to say for it. Nothing. Especially on the southern border. Trump had delivered one of the lines of the night in Georgia when he was discussing Laken Riley's family and Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris should not be asking for your vote. She should be begging Laken Riley's family for forgiveness.
Amen. Amen. And countless other families she should be begging for forgiveness as well. Jocelyn Nungaray, Rachel Marin. The list goes on and on and on. There's not enough time in the show to list everyone. But that's Kamala's record. That's Kamala's record. Death, destruction, economic collapse.
Just a few months ago, right here in your state, I met with the devastated family, what a beautiful family, of Laken Riley, the brilliant 22-year-old nursing student, top of her class, who was out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia when she was assaulted, beaten, and horrifically killed. Her family was, look, they'll never be the same, incredible family. Kamala Harris let in the savage monster who murdered Laken Riley. He was an illegal alien who was in Border Patrol custody, but under Harris's policies, instead of being deported immediately and fast, he was set free into America. Please enjoy your stay. Laken's blood is on Kamala Harris's hands, and she was in charge of the border. But there are many, many people like that. Laken is not the only one. Kamala is responsible for the death as though she was standing there watching it herself. She was responsible, and for so many more.
Yep.
3 days after releasing Laken's killer into the United States, Harris went on television and lied to the American people, saying the border is secure. Quote, the border is secure.
The border is secure. How many times have we heard that from these radical leftists? The border is secure. Over and over and over again, we were told the border is secure. How many other lies do we need from the left? Over and over and over again, they told us that Bidenomics was working. But, if you look at the market today, hard to believe that as well. I got some more audio on the way from the Trump rally. Also, the parole pipelines have been forced to close. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their nice parole pipeline to bring illegal aliens into this country, that's had to close because blatant fraud. We'll talk about that and more on the way. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Stock market is clawing its way back, and Nashville police have identified the 2 women killed by an intoxicated driver the other night. That story and more at 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jeff. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 10:58. I'm Chris Hand. Mike in Columbia wants to talk about Kamala. Mike, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Mr. Hand.
How we doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I got something for you, sir.
All right, tell me.
You remember the cap you wanted?
The cap I wanted?
Yeah. Today at the Glot store.
Refresh my memory.
God, guns, Trump.
Oh, yes. I do remember that.
I have it.
Oh, you're the man.
I have all of y'all's.
Oh, you're the man. Appreciate you.
But Kamala the other day in Atlanta had some woman twerking on stage.
Yes, Megan Thee Stallion. It was twerking for world peace, I think, was the event.
I mean, if Trump was to do something like it would be uproar throughout the whole media. It would be a media frenzy.
Well, I mean, let's put it in perspective. He had Kid Rock at the RNC, and people were upset about that. He had Hulk Hogan at the RNC, and people were upset about that.
Well, I mean, everything he does, they're upset about it because they know that he's got our country in best interest. But did you happen to see where that they're giving illegals in New York $20,000?
I have seen some of those stories. Yes, and they're putting it on those debit cards, correct?
Yes, but one of them left a receipt behind that actually showed it.
Yep, it was like a $13,000 balance left on the food stamps.
It was $13,000 that was left on that, but cash was also available of almost $5,000.
Yep, I mean, hey, that's part and parcel, Mike, for the Biden-Harris regime, and that will be part and parcel if Harris is elected president. Come November. Sorry, it gives me the chills anytime I have to say that. Appreciate the call, Mike. On the way, I do want to talk about the parole pipeline, the migrant pipeline that has had to be closed for, well, shockingly, blatant fraud. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11 a.m. and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. 88 degrees, going to continue to rise throughout the day. That full forecast in 2 minutes. Stock market opened on a free fall this morning as the Dow plummeted more than 1,100 points in the first few minutes. While the markets have rebounded from the initial drop, Greg McBride, the chief financial analyst for Bankrate, tells ABC News the market were overdue for this kind of fluctuation.
Market corrections, which is a 10% pullback from a high, tend to happen on average about once a year, every 12 months or so. We're overdue. So, put it in that context.
The current Dow right now is at 813. It's dramatically dropped. It's trying to claw back, as well as NASDAQ at 490 and S&P 500 at 129, all down from the earlier morning downfall. The U.S. military is no longer operating out of the African country of Niger after being asked to leave by their new government. ABC's Ann Flannery has more.
The U.S. has pulled the last of its troops out of the West African country of Niger and shut down its 2 bases there. The U.S. military had spent $110 million on a drone facility that officials said was used to monitor terror networks in the region. Following a coup last year, the new military leaders in Niger said they wanted the 1,000 Americans to leave. U.S. officials say they are concerned that West African nations are turning away from alliances with the West in favor of security deals with Russia. Ann Flaherty, ABC News, Washington.
News in Nashville. The Metro Nashville Police Department identified the 2 women that were killed in a crash on Gallatin Pike late Saturday night. Police said Holly Wagner, age 25 from Missouri, and Natalie White, age 24 from Illinois, died in the crash at 11:30 p.m. at the intersection of Gallatin Pike North and Coode Lane. Giovanni Bolstad, 22, is facing 2 charges of vehicular homicide by intoxication in connection with the crash. According to police, they said Bolstad initially ran away from the scene but returned. The arresting officer said several open containers of Bahama Mama alcohol cans were found in and around Bolstad's vehicle. He was taken to the Skyline with non-life-threatening injuries and later was arrested. Bolstad also was previously arrested on convicted of DUI in 2023 and is currently held on a $332,500 bond. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. You can listen to the show wherever you go with the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the 99.7 WTN app. And if you miss something, you can always catch the podcast on Apple and Spotify. If you're just tuning in, you're just waking up, you're just getting your day going, everything is tanking. Stocks plunging. Fears of a recession. It's not good. And it's all at the feet of the Biden-Harris administration.
Now to the stock market. Opening this morning after a rough finish last week, the Dow fell more than 600 points Friday on a weaker than expected jobs report. Our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, is here with more. Good morning to you, Rebecca.
Good morning to you, Robin. And markets around the globe this morning are selling off. Overnight, Japan's Nikkei plunged 12%, its worst day since the 1987 Black Monday crash. Here, investors are responding to that Friday jobs market report on the jobs market, showing that employers added just 114,000 jobs in July, and that was well below the 185,000 forecast. The unemployment rate jumped to 4.3%, which is still very low, but it shows joblessness has increased more than 0.5% since January, and it's something that it just doesn't usually happen in a healthy economy. A rise like that is historically a sign that a recession is imminent.
It's a sign that a recession is imminent. These are not things that happen in a healthy economy. Well, who is in charge of the economy? Well, that would be Biden and Harris. Even Bitcoin is tanking.
About Bitcoin, the cryptos, that's been really sliding. Look at, now it's 51.7. A few minutes ago, it was 49.8. That's what I saw.
It went under 50.
It did.
It fell 13% last week. That's the worst week since 2022. If you look at the ETF outflows, biggest in 3 months.
Even Bitcoin is failing, and it doesn't look good as far as the economy. There is a silver lining. Biden and Harris are in charge of the economy right now. And Trump was already far ahead when it comes to who people trust on the economy more when it's either him or Kamala. The silver lining is that it's Biden-Harris's fault. If there is a silver lining in a market crash for conservatives, hopefully it'll wake up some normies and they'll realize what's going on. A lot of people don't understand, though, the economic impact of the migrant crisis that has been really thrown on us by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The majority of jobs created under the Biden administration have gone to foreign-born workers, including illegal aliens. And it's gotten so bad that they've even had to close their migrant pipeline because of blatant fraud. I was telling you about this story. Organized and blatant fraud has forced Joe Biden's border chief to temporarily close his supposedly legal parole pipeline for 360,000 job-seeking migrants per year from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Exactly what I've said. The jobs that they're creating are going to foreign-born workers. But this has had to stop because of, well, you guessed it, blatant fraud. Biden's deputies did claim it was safe and legal. A spokesman for the Federation for American Immigration Reform has said they also exposed the fraud. They said their own investigation indicates that it was riddled with fraud and poses risks to the American public. Mike Johnson has called for it to be shut down permanently. And Mark Green said this admission by the Biden-Harris administration vindicates every warning we have ever issued about the unlawful CHNV mass parole program. The pipelines were created by Biden's pro-migration and impeached border chief Alejandro Mayorkas. In June of 2021, Kamala Harris touted his policy of creating orderly and humane migration paths to the United States. And since October of 22, Mayorkas' pipelines, which Kamala Harris has praised, have brought in roughly 520,000 people for the jobs and wages that would have gone to Americans. The inflow included people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. Roughly 200,000 people, including many police and medical experts, were pulled from Haiti, further destabilizing Haiti. People don't understand the brain drain that happens with these kind of things. Anybody in a lot of these countries that are smart enough to get out do, and then you're left with no one that can help rebuild or stabilize these areas. Mayorkas' legal excuse was that migrants would stop crossing the border illegally if they were allowed to do so legally. And then the CHNV pipelines were quietly shut in mid-July following an internal investigation into the rampant fraud, which was similar to the rampant fraud seen in the H-1B visa program. Some of the fraud was conducted by immigrants in the country temporarily, the Washington Post reported. The agency officials denied responsibility in a statement to Breitbart News about the shutdown, saying, out of an abundance of caution, we have temporarily paused the issuance of advanced travel authorizations for new beneficiaries while it undertakes a review of supporter applications. DHS will restart the application processing as quickly as possible with appropriate safeguards. That makes you feel good, right? Don't worry. We'll start this soon enough. The fraud has been publicly acknowledged since the program opened. Even the Associated Press reported in February of 2023, one Facebook post advertising paid sponsorships led to a person who identified himself as an American citizen living in Pensacola, Florida. Told he was communicating with a journalist, the person refused to talk on the phone and would only text. The person told the Associated Press he had sponsored a Cuban uncle and aunt for $10,000 each. He refused to provide contact info for those relatives and then stopped responding to questions. Another would-be sponsor said via Facebook Messenger that they charge $2,000 per person, which includes a sponsorship fee, document processing, and an airline ticket. Requests for more information were answered with a phone number from the Dominican Republic that rang unanswered. I'm looking for a sponsor for 2 people, please. My husband is in a wheelchair, reads a post from someone who says they live in Havana. I will give my house with everything inside, and I'll pay $4,000 for each. FAIR described the agency's internal report about the open and unchallenged fraud like this. The applications which are submitted electronically by sponsors are not assessed by typical adjudicators, but rather are reviewed by personnel who simply deem the application sufficient. According to the report, of the 2.6 million received, nearly 529,000 applicants were confirmed or approved, and around 118,000 were not confirmed or denied. Many sponsors submit multiple sponsorships similar to the H-1B fraud, where migrants paid corrupt executives to sponsor them for work permits. The report reveals that 100 IP addresses accounted for 51,133 of the Form I-134A application submitted. In one example, an IP address located in Tijuana, Mexico, was used over 1,300 times. So they've linked it to the same computer. The report states that on average, each IP address associated with these programs submit 2.2 application forms. The report states that one sponsor phone number was reported on over 2,000 forms submitted by 200 sponsors. One parolee phone number was reported on 626 different forms with an associated 238 different parolee last names and 142 different parolee addresses. Am I painting the picture of the rampant fraud? It's rampant fraud. So when Donald Trump says this in Atlanta, you can understand why the people cheer.
If I win on day one, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history. Have no choice. We have no choice. No country can sustain this. We have no choice, and we will immediately expel every single criminal that Baltazar Harris has allowed into our country. No country can sustain it. In a recent CBS poll, 62% of Americans support large-scale deportation, and others are saying it's 83%, 85%. Including 53% of Hispanic voters, because they see what's happening. By the way, the Hispanic voter and me have like this special relationship. I understand them. They're very entrepreneurial, very smart, but they also understand security better than anybody.
Yep.
And they don't want to have murderers released into our country. They don't want. It's very interesting. When I built, I built massive amounts of the wall. The wall was incredible. We built it, and hundreds of miles of wall, and they wanted it more than anybody because it worked.
Yeah, well, and they see firsthand what's happening in their countries. I retweeted a video of this guy. He goes into an El Salvadoran prison. Under Nayib Bukele, El Salvador has become very, very safe, one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere. And he goes inside this prison. It's crazy. If you think about other countries in South America emptying their prisons and sending them here, this video will blow your mind, and you can see it on my Twitter feed at Chris Hand on Air. It is wild to see these individuals in this jail and then think, many other countries in this region emptied their jails and sent them our way. Yes, we need mass deportations. Yes. Just over the weekend, there was another story out of Lukeville, Arizona, where U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers recently made what the agency is calling the largest seizure of fentanyl to date. Officers at the port of entry discovered approximately 4 million blue fentanyl pills weighing more than half a ton. Half a ton of fentanyl. The seizure was one of several large fentanyl busts the agency saw during the month of July as part of 2 special operations targeting fentanyl smuggling and the cartel bosses that moved the deadly drug into the United States. CBP officials said in a statement this week that the record-breaking seizure occurred on July 1st when officers at the Lukeville port of entry encountered a 20-year-old United States citizen from Arizona attempting to enter the country from Mexico. The Arizona man was driving a 2011 pickup truck, towing a sport recreational vehicle on a utility trailer not uncommon at the port due to its proximity to beach recreational areas in Mexico. But the officers decided to look a little bit closer, and they performed an intensive inspection of the vehicle, trailer, and truck, and found 234 packages containing the 4 million fentanyl pills hidden in the frame of the trailer. We need a secure southern border. Now, this is an American citizen crossing the border at a port of entry, but what about the illegal aliens that aren't crossing at the ports of entry? What about tunnels underneath the ground? These drugs are getting in so many different ways. Do you trust a Harris presidency to fix this? Do you trust that? According to Customs Border Patrol officers at the same port of entry, they reported that about 270 pounds of methamphetamine were seized several days later. The second seizure was on July 12th when a 45-year-old Mexican citizen driving a 2007 Ford F-150, also towing a utility trailer, tried to enter the U.S. 272 pounds of methamphetamine and crystal meth and an additional 5 pounds of cocaine. This is your border on Biden-Harris. These two drug seizures were part of two concerted counter-drug operations, Operation Apollo, Arizona, and Operation Plaza Spike, according to the agency. Operation Apollo, Arizona is counter-fentanyl joint operation focusing on intelligence collection. The operation concentrates law enforcement efforts on disrupting drug and chemical supply collecting and sharing intelligence, leveraging valuable partnerships. The other one, Operation Plaza Spike, targets the plaza bosses and cartels that facilitate the flow of deadly fentanyl and other illicit synthetic drugs, and it's designed to disrupt operations in the plaza's cartel territories located directly south of the United States that are natural logistical choke points within the cartel operations. And, you might be saying, well, they're doing this under the Biden-Harris administration. They're ramping up these things. It's like, yes, theater for the election. Make no mistake about it. They want open borders. Donald Trump, on the other hand, wants to designate these cartels as terrorist organizations. And again, he wants mass deportations on day one.
If I win on day one, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history.
And I just say, which way, Western world? Which way? There's a very clear choice come November. We can keep going this radical direction with leftist leaders, or we can have a course correction and get back to making America great again. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Nancy Pelosi grilled about her influence in Joe Biden dropping out of the race, and the stock market continues to recover from this morning's big hit. Those stories coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jeff Malinoff on the news, doing a good job over there. It's 11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We played a lot of the audio from the Trump rally from Trump, and we played the clip from Michaela Montgomery, which had been fantastic. But what's not getting a lot of play today is J.D. Vance at the rally. J.D. Vance was on fire. He's been doing really good. He was on the Full Send podcast over the weekend as well, which is, a popular Gen Z podcast. You and your friends, Mason, you know Full Send, right? Does your roommates, you guys all watch that? A lot of people watch it,
We don't watch it. I listen to it when I drive, going places on Spotify and stuff like that.
I mean, the episode with J.D. Vance has over 1 million views already. And
I'm not surprised.
The funniest thing was when I went to go watch it, you know what it hit me with right before the episode started?
Oh, no.
A Kamala Harris ad.
So they're trying to force it down your throat.
You know what I did? I took one for the team, and I let that thing play all the way through to waste their money. I didn't hit skip. They pay less if you hit skip.
Yeah.
So I let that thing play.
Pull every cent you can out of them.
You have to. It's on all of us. If you get the skip option, don't.
You're taking the real hits for us, so we don't have to.
Take their money from them. You know what I mean? It's not going to change your mind. So make them spend their cash. So I let the ad play all the way through.
Defund the Harris campaign.
Defund the Harris campaign. Let's start that here. She wants to defund the police. We want to defund her campaign.
Absolutely.
So don't skip the ads. Let them play all the way through. Well, J.D. Vance was at the Trump in Atlanta rally, and he's been saying this a couple times, and I think this is one of the most powerful things he can say. What has Kamala Harris done to question our loyalty?
We can handle the made-up attacks by Democrats and by the media because we're used to it by now. But here's something I can't stomach about Kamala Harris. It's when she has the nerve to question our loyalty to this country. And she does. Well, here's what President Trump and I believe about loyalty. Loyalty to this country is closing our border, not opening it up.
Yep. That's loyalty.
Loyalty is making life more affordable, not causing inflation because you can't stop sending money like a drunken sailor. Loyalty is safeguarding Medicare for American citizens, not bankrupting it by sending it to illegal aliens, which is what she wants to do.
Yep.
Loyalty is protecting Laken Riley, not allowing an illegal immigrant to take her life. Loyalty is serving in the United States Marine Corps, something I am proud to have done. Loyalty is taking a bullet for this country, something Donald J. Trump did. Kamala Harris, if you want to see the face of disloyalty, look in the damn mirror.
I mean, where's the lie? Where's the lie? J.D. Vance has been on point, and this is why they've been attacking him so hard. Ooh, J.D. Vance is weird. He's weird, guys. Yeah, I mean, I guess, having a family and being a straight white male and, loving your kids and your country is a little weird.
That was weird.
It's weird. It's weird. So weird, right?
Yeah, just a little weird.
I did have an epiphany while J.D. Vance was talking. And I'm probably not the first one to think of this, but he sends a message to people struggling in this country. And I realized this is something that the Democrats can't really do because people in America are struggling under their watch. And they've been telling us that Bidenomics is working. And there's a lot of Americans struggling right now. And as we see the market nosedive today, that's only going to expand. It's only going to expand. The Democrats can't talk to people the same way that are struggling as conservatives can in America in 2024. But J.D. Vance, he can.
So I want to send a message out there to those who are struggling, those who are trying to make ends meet. If you're scraping by instead of thriving, I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to choose between paying off the credit card or buying groceries. I know what it's like to watch families fall apart under financial stress. I know what it's like to worry that a parent will never kick that habit, and I know what it's like to worry that that habit is going to eventually claim their lives. But I also know that our national motto is "In God We Trust," and God tells us not to despair, but to hope.
I love it. I love it. He's so on point, and he's so on point that they're not going to run this anywhere. You're not going to hear this on NBC. You're not going to see it on CBS or ABC. You probably won't even see it on Fox. Hell, CNN was just running a ticker down at the bottom on their chyron that said, J.D. Vance, cat lady comments. Kid you not. They're still harping on the cat lady comments because that's all they have. That's all they have. J.D. Vance had more to say and even had an interview with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. We'll play that for you after the news with Jeff Malenhoff on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11:30, and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. 88 degrees. It's going to get up in the 90s later. Forecast in 5 minutes. With the big drop to start this morning's stock market, we are now seeing a recovery. Greg McBride of Bankrate says those are saving on retirement to look ahead instead of right now.
If you're saving for retirement, this is a game we play over decades. You can't be distracted by day-to-day volatility.
And now former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was interviewed by ABC News and was asked about President Biden's dropout of the presidential race and her involvement in the decision.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she was not seeing a campaign that could win, but that she did not organize President Biden's exit from the race.
Other people called me about what their views were about it. But I rarely even returned a call, much less initiated one.
She told ABC that at the end of the day,
winning an election is a decision. You make a decision to win, and you make every decision in favor of winning.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Update about that stock market. Dow is now up. It's up now about minus 743, a lot better than that minus 13 earlier. NASDAQ at minus 345 compared to that minus 700 it was earlier. And S&P 500 is now almost at below 100 at 100.29. So all of those are looking to claw its way back up later. That's the latest news. Weather next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
We can handle the made-up attacks by Democrats and by the media because we're used to it by now. But here's something I can't stomach about Kamala Harris. It's when she has the nerve to question our loyalty to this country. And she does. Well, here's what President Trump and I believe about loyalty. Loyalty to this country is closing our border, not opening it up. Loyalty is making life more affordable, not causing inflation because you can't stop sending money like a drunken sailor. Loyalty is safeguarding Medicare for American citizens, not bankrupting it by sending it to illegal aliens, which is what she wants to do. Loyalty is protecting Laken Riley, not allowing an illegal immigrant to take her life. Loyalty is serving in the United States Marine Corps, something I am proud to have done. Loyalty is taking a bullet for this country, something Donald J. Trump did. Kamala Harris, if you want to see the face of disloyalty, look in the damn mirror.
That was J.D. Vance over the weekend in Atlanta. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A lot of the clips coming out of Atlanta getting a lot of play. J.D. Vance is not getting the attention he deserves. I thought he was fantastic in Atlanta. We are tracking the market nosedive. Donald Trump on Truth Social. Of course, there's a massive market downturn. Kamala is even worse than Crooked Joe. Markets will never accept the radical left lunatic that destroyed San Francisco and California as a whole. Next move, the Great Depression of 2024. You can't play games with markets. Kamala crash. He's right. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did I do that? It is Super Talk. My name is Chris Hand. Trump does have an advantage on the economy in some major swing states. He's got a plus 31 advantage in Michigan. He's got a plus 31 advantage in Pennsylvania, a plus 38 advantage in Wisconsin. Do you think after this market turmoil, it's going to get better, that advantage, or worse? Do the Democrats have a leg to stand on when it comes to the economy and the high prices and now the stock market crash? I don't think so. All they've really been focused on is calling J.D. Vance weird, which is, okay. If that's all you got, that's great. That's great. J.D. Vance responded to the weird talking points at the rally in Atlanta over the weekend.
Now remember this. Remember, Barack Obama said we cling to God and guns. Remember that? Hillary Clinton called us deplorables. And now Kamala Harris says we're weird. Well, Kamala, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about some things that are weird.
This is where it gets really good, because this talking point has boomeranged back on the Democrats in epic fashion. Epic fashion. Because if you want to just throw weird around, well, let's talk about it.
We think it's weird that Democrats want to put sexually explicit books in toddlers' libraries.
Yeah, that's weird, right? That would be weird. I think so.
We think it's weird that the far left wants to allow biological males to beat the living crap out of women in boxing. Also a little weird. We think it's weird for a presidential candidate to bail convicted rapists and murderers out of prison, and that's what Kamala Harris did.
Yep, Minnesota Freedom Fund. It's documented. The tweets are still there.
And I think it's especially weird when Kamala Harris comes to Atlanta. I believe came here to this arena. Kamala Harris comes to Atlanta and talks with a fake Southern accent, even though she grew up in Canada. You can't make it up. That's pretty weird.
That's weird. Trump didn't do that. There was no fake Southern accent from Trump or J.D. Vance.
Go watch the clip. She sounded like a Southern belle.
I do declare.
Even though she grew up in Vancouver. It doesn't make any sense. But on November 5th, she can go back to using her San Francisco accent because we're going to send her packing and we're going to reelect Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
Yep. Nails it. The weird comments have boomeranged back on them, and they're only using the weird comments because they have no leg to stand on when it comes to the issues. And the big discussion has been about the debate. When are they going to debate? When are they going to debate? Well, Kamala says that Trump has backed out of the September 10th date. It was an ABC debate, but that was with Joe Biden. That was with Joe Biden. I think the conservatives can flip it back on them and say, well, Kamala backed out of the debate with J.D. Vance that they had previously agreed to, if that's the route we're going to go. Trump has agreed to a debate with Kamala Harris in September, except on Fox News, September 4th. He posted on Truth Social that he agreed to debate Harris in a debate hosted by Fox's Brett Baer and Martha McCallum. He posted, I've agreed with Fox News to debate Kamala Harris on Wednesday, September 4th. The debate was previously scheduled against Sleepy Joe Biden on ABC, but that has been terminated in that Biden will no longer be a participant. And I'm in litigation against ABC Network and George Slopadopoulos, thereby creating a conflict of interest. Is Slopadopoulos the best nickname that we've gotten out of the Trump nicknaming era? I think so.
That's a pretty good one.
It's pretty good. He said the Fox News debate will be held in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at a site in an area to be determined. The moderators of the debate will be Baer and Martha McCallum, and the rules will be similar to the rules of my debate with Sleepy Joe, who has been treated horribly by his party, but with a full arena audience. Harris is accusing Trump of backpedaling on the September 10th debate. That's been their big talking point. Again, if Trump is backpedaling out of that debate, well, Harris is backpedaling out of a debate with J.D. Vance. That's just how that works. Harris has since refused to debate Donald Trump on Fox News. She's demanding that the September 10th debate take place on ABC News. Political insiders perceive ABC News as an ally of the Democrat Party. And although Fox News has not generally been pro-Trump, especially since Paul Ryan came on board the board of directors at Fox Corporation, they say that Fox is too friendly. The Harris campaign communications director, Michael Tyler, told Newsweek, Donald Trump is running scared and trying to back out of the debate he already agreed to, and running straight to Fox News to bail him out. He needs to stop playing games and show up to the debate he already committed to on September 10th. So, these people are ridiculous. He went on to say, the vice president will be there one way or the other to take the opportunity to speak to a primetime national audience. We're happy to discuss further debates after the one both campaigns have already agreed to. Mr. Anytime, Anywhere, Anyplace should have no problem with that unless he's too scared to show up on the 10th. I think Trump just show up wherever they want you, man. I think he's going to crush Kamala Harris in debate, no matter where they do it, who they do it with, who's the moderators, because they can't stand on any of the issues. Everything he went after Biden about, he can go after Kamala Harris about. Every single thing. From the Afghanistan pullout to the terrible economy, the rampant inflation, the wide open southern border. Don't forget, Kamala Harris said she is one of the last people in the room with Joe Biden on all of these major decisions. They want to separate her from Biden's record while also saying Biden belongs on Mount Rushmore because he's so talented. Did you hear that? This is what Nancy Pelosi said over the weekend.
In a good place to make whatever decision, the top of his game. Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. Want to know what comes next.
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore. Lincoln and Joe Biden.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
Okay, add Biden to Mount Rushmore. That's how much he's accomplished. At the same time, you can't hold Harris responsible for the record of the Biden administration. Make it make sense. Late Friday, Trump did say he agreed to debate Harris on Fox News. He put out that Truth Social post. We'll see what happens with the debate. We'll see. I hope that no matter what happens with the debate, they bring up some of the staffers and the stories that are leaking out of the Kamala camp about staffers living in complete fear of Kamala Harris. Staffers who were forced to stand and say, "Good morning, General," and not allowed to look her in the eye. These are allegations from former employees of Kamala Harris. These former staffers have revealed shocking allegations about the vice president when she was the acting attorney general of California, claiming severe verbal abuse that left staffers living in complete fear. I believe it. Have you seen Kamala Harris? When she got out of the van to do her little pre-prepared remarks for the hostage release, she slapped an advisor with her phone and didn't make eye contact as she beelined it to the podium. I believe it. The report includes frequent beratings in which Harris would throw around F-bombs and other profanity while screaming at her staff members, according to a staffer. Harris apparently forced her employees to stand each morning as she entered the office and say, "Good morning, General." The claims were made in a recently unearthed 2019 op-ed for the Union written by Democrat professor Terry McAteer, who detailed his son Gregory's eye-opening experience working as an intern for Harris, the presumptive, now the Democrat presidential nominee, when she was California's attorney general. She's had 92% of her staff turnover since working since becoming vice president. So this is not a shock. But they say that the piece was to show the world a side of Kamala Harris which the general public does not know. Gregory was also given instruction to never address Harris nor look her in the eyes, as that privilege was only allowed to senior staff members. You're not allowed to look Kamala Harris in the eyes. That's what this guy wrote in an article. A Democrat professor, Terry McAteer, he wrote a 2019 op-ed for the Union after his son was an intern for Kamala Harris. Said another side to Harris, he alleged that staff members refrained from introducing his son Gregory to Harris because they lived in complete fear when she served as the attorney general from 2011 to 2017. So Gregory McAteer worked as a public policy intern for Harris from June to August 2011, according to an archive of his LinkedIn page found on Red State. And the vice president has been accused of severe mistreatment by former staffers many times who have accused Harris of being a bully. I'm looking forward to more of these stories leaking out. We don't have a lot of time. We're months away from the presidential election in November. We have to keep our foot on the gas and get Harris on record more. Is she going to do an interview? Is she going to answer any tough questions? Probably not.
Yeah, it'll be a long uncut with air quotes there, like Joe Biden's.
Yeah.
Where it's very, very controlled, very tight-knit.
Very friendly.
Yeah. Answer the question she wants to answer.
Yep. And we'll give them to you ahead of time.
Yeah. She'll get a nice little complete circle running, and then she'll be good.
Yeah. What a joke. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.